Hello viewers, yes, Ranjana ma'am, and you are watching mine as well as your channel. So this is again for my ICSE student, the last lesson. No, it's not my last lesson, this is the lesson which you have in your syllabus, class 10 students. The last lesson, the last of your prose piece for the class 10 syllabus. Okay, so it's quite a touching story. In the end, when you read it, you have a choking feeling of being choked, emotionally choked, as you read the last portion. I always feel I have a special feeling for this story, rather because when I was in school, most probably in class 8, in our Radiant Reader we had this story. So since then, and later when I became a teacher, I have taught it several times, and again this time it has been included in your ICSE syllabus. So a long association with this since my school days till now. So what is it about? So first I always say I'll read the box, important parts from the box. So this is from this last lesson is a short story, and what is the backdrop of it, or rather the background of it is the Franco Prussian War. And it deals with the occupation of Alsace and Lorraine. So Alsace and Lorraine had been captured by the Prussians in 1870. So no French to be taught, and how did the people of Alsace and Lorraine feel at this? So this is what the last lesson is about. So the next paragraph, the story tells us what happens when there is an attempt to slowly sever the tie between the people and its language by a powerful enemy. So suppose we are Indians and someone tells us that from now onwards you will not learn your mother tongue. So at this moment we might not value our mother tongue. Oh, second language, you all have your whichever language is your mother tongue, maybe Bengali, Hindi or Odia, whatever. But when you are told that you will not have the scope to read it anymore, we will not allow you to learn it anymore, then you don't accept it. You feel sad. You feel as if your right has been taken away from you. So this is what exactly happened to these people, and then they blame themselves. So last lesson is a great reminder of how we cannot take our language for granted, but that is what we do. We take our language for granted. We give more importance to English. English is our first language. But what about the mother tongue? And how important it is to love and learn one's language in order to protect one's individual and collective identity. These languages, they tell us what we are, what is our root. So the story is also a sharp and poignant reminder on how important it is not to put off learning. That is the habit of procrastination. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Its beauty lies in its patriotic appeal. The author takes a humane look at a teacher's self-appraisal and his grief at the impending separation. The teacher, he doesn't blame his students only for it, he blames himself also. So now let's go to the story, the last lesson. I started for school very late. I is the narrator, he is a young boy, and was in great dread of a scolding. He was afraid of a scolding. Why? If you enter late in your class, your teacher will naturally scold you. That is very natural. Especially because M. Hamill, so he is the teacher, had said that he would question us on participles. In English also you have your past participle, present participle. So do is the main verb, did is the past tense, done is the past participle. And present participles have the ing. So in every language there will be participles. So in French also the master had told the narrator or the young boy who is the narrator to learn the participles, and he had not done it. So he was naturally angry. He was naturally afraid that I will be scolded. And I did not know the first word about them. So this shows what a diligent, rather I am joking, what a negligent student he is. For a moment I thought of running away and spending the day out of doors. So for a moment he thinks of playing truant from school, bunking school as you all say in today's words. It was so warm, so bright, so outside is so tempting. The birds were chirping at the edge of the woods, and in the open field back of the sawmill, the Prussian soldiers were drilling. They were carrying not that drilling machine and drilling. They were doing their exercises. It was all much more tempting than the rule for participles. So which was more tempting? The outside. The rule of participles were boring. But I had the strength to resist. He had the strength to resist what? The temptation of bunking school. And hurried off to school. When I passed the town hall, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. So in your school also you all must be having bulletin board where notices are put up. So here in the town hall, so there was a bulletin board where the important news would be put up. So people had crowded in front of it. So he wanted to know what was it, what was the news that was written in the bulletin board. For the last 2 years, all our bad news had come from there. So whatever news, and it was put up on the bulletin board, and none of the news were good ones. So that is why he wonders what bad news have they put up now. The lost battles, the draft, the orders of the commanding officer, and I thought to myself without stopping, what can be the matter now? So he wonders what can be the matter, but he didn't have the guts to go and read because he was already late. Then as I hurried by as fast as I could go, the blacksmith, Wachter, who was there with his apprentice. Apprentice is someone whom he trains. A trainee is called an apprentice. So a doctor maybe has his apprentice. A lawyer has his apprentice. So he is a blacksmith. So someone who takes training under him is his apprentice. Reading the bulletin, called after me, "Don't go so fast, bub, you'll get to your school in plenty of time." So you need not hurry. You'll have lots of time to go to your school. I thought he was making fun of me. So Franz thought that this blacksmith was joking, and reached M. Hamel's little garden all out of breath. Usually when school began, there was a great bustle, very common in schools. Opening of the desk and shutting of the desk and all that. But today it was so unusual. Everything was very silent, which could be heard out in the street. The opening and closing of desks, lessons repeated in unison. Yes, everyone together repeating lessons. Very loud, with our hands over our ears to understand better. Yeah, in order to understand better, your hands over your ears, but otherwise the noise of all the other students will enter your ears, so you wouldn't be able to understand. So keep your hands on your ears so that the noise made by the other students don't get into your ears. But now it was all so still, but today everything was so different. I had counted on the commotion to get to my desk without being seen. So he had thought that usually there is so much of confusion in the beginning hours of the school. So while the noise is there, I will get into my desk without being noticed, but no. But of course that day everything had to be quiet as Sunday morning. Sunday morning church time. In the church everything is quiet as the priest is about to deliver the sermon. So in church no one makes noise. So the school also seemed to be like that. So he is shocked. Why? Today I am late, and today only it has to be quite like a Sunday morning. Through the window I saw my classmates already in their places, so everyone was already in time. And M. Hamel walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. This is very embarrassing. So everyone is sitting and the teacher is there, and in front of the teacher you are late and you enter. I know. So once or twice during my honors class, so I had been late. So the railway crossing, and because of the train coming, I got delayed. And it was so embarrassing, na? The teacher, the friends trying to stifle a giggle. and the teacher looking very angrily. So, it's very embarrassing. You can imagine how I blushed and how frightened I was. So yes, cheeks getting red, blushing because he's embarrassed for being late and also frightened that what would M. Hamel say? Would he beat me up? But nothing happened. Again, another strange thing. M. Hamel saw me and said very kindly, which is unusual, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz, we were beginning without you." So the name of the narrator is Franz. Not France, Franz. I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. What a nice way to go. He jumped over the bench and goes and sits at his desk. Not till then, when I had got a little over my fright, did I see that our teacher had on his beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt, and the little black silk cap all embroidered that he never wore except on inspection and prize days. So it takes some time for him to get accustomed. And then he notices, oh my God, this dress M. Hamel wears only on special days, special occasions, when there is an inspection from the school inspector or annual function day, prize days. And today he is wearing, so what's special? Besides, the whole school seemed so strange and solemn, so serious. But the thing that surprised me most was to see on the back benches, that means the last benches, that were always empty, the village people sitting quietly like ourselves. So the senior citizens, the elders, they were sitting in the last benches which were always empty. Old Hauser with his three-cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several others besides. So these are the people who were sitting, who were occupying the last benches. Everybody looked sad, and Hauser had brought an old primer. So he had brought a primary book, thumbed at the edges, very old book, and he held it open on his knees with his great spectacles lying on the pages. So like this. While I was wondering about it also, he thinks, what has happened? M. Hamel wearing the special dress. School looks so serious, and these senior people, they are coming and sitting in the last benches. M. Hamel mounted his chair in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to me, said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German." So Prussians, the main country which is in this group is Germany. So Germany's capital Berlin. So orders have come from Berlin that only German should be taught. Why? Because they have defeated and taken control of France, Alsace and Lorraine. These were in the French territory, but now the Prussians have taken control over it. And who is the big boss of this Prussian group? Who else but Germany? So orders have come from Berlin that no French teaching. From now onwards, German language will be taught. In the schools of Alsace and Lorraine, the new master, so that means goodbye to M. Hamel. He has to leave. And the new master coming to teach German will come the next day. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive. I want that you should listen to me very attentively. What a thunderclap these words were to me. So what a shock to him. Why? Oh, the wretches, that is what they had put up on the town hall. Now he understands. This notice was put on the bulletin board on the town hall, and that is why all the village people had flocked there. And it is as a result of that news only these people have come and they are sitting in the last benches. Last French lesson. My last French lesson, why? I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn anymore. Now he feels regretful. I must stop there then. Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking birds' eggs or going sliding on the Saar. So now he is repentant. Why didn't I learn? I will not get scope to learn it anymore. From tomorrow, German. And I don't know my mother tongue properly. I can't read properly. I can't write. My books that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, so heavy to carry, my grammar and my history of the saints were old friends now, and that I couldn't give up, and now these only seemed to him to be so valuable, which maybe an hour ago seemed to him to be a burden. And M. Hamel too. The idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about the ruler and how cranky he was. Yeah, with the ruler banging either on the desk or on the back of the boys. But now he feels, my God, how I'll miss him. Poor man. So now he understands why he has worn his special dress. It was in honor of the last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes, and now I understood why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back of the room. So everything becomes crystal clear to him. It was because they were sorry too that they had not gone to school more. Now they feel regretful. Why hadn't we gone to school more? Why hadn't we learnt more French? It was their way of thanking our master for his 40 years of faithful service. So M. Hamel had been teaching in the school for 40 years. So many of the elders who are sitting there, they might have been his students. So they have come to show him their gratitude, showing the respect for the country that was theirs no more. And they were also showing respect to their country. So they are not part of France anymore. They have become part of Germany. So this is how they felt they could show their respect, by attending the last French lesson. While I was thinking of all this, I heard my name called. So it is his turn. It was my turn to recite the rules of the participle, but he didn't know anything. What would I not have given to be able to say that dreadful rule for the participle all through, very loud and clear, without one mistake. So now he feels, if only I could have said all the rules of the participle without any mistake, I would have given my all. But what does he do? But I got mixed up on the first words only. Yeah, very first words you get mixed up. That means he had confessed earlier also that he knew nothing about it. And stood there holding on to my desk, my heart beating and not daring to look up. He's afraid. But nothing like that will happen. I heard M. Hamel say to me, I won't scold you, little Franz. You must feel bad enough. I'm not going to scold you. You yourself should realize this. See how it is? Every day we have said to ourselves, bah, I have plenty of time. I'll learn it tomorrow. Yeah, this is what we do. Tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. And now you see where we've come out. That's the great trouble with Alsace. So these people, they belong to Alsace. 2 districts had gone under the Prussian group. They had captured it, Alsace and Lorraine. So these are Alsace, people of Alsace. She puts off learning till tomorrow. This putting off something for tomorrow is called the habit of procrastination. Now those fellows out there, whom is he referring to? The Prussian soldiers who were drilling. Will have the right to say to you, how is it you pretend to be Frenchmen and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language? So you don't know how to read, you don't know how to write French, and you say you are French people. But you are not the worst, poor little Franz. We've all a great deal to reproach ourselves with. So you are not only to be blamed. All of us are to be blamed equally. We all have a share in this. Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. Yeah, there was not pressure from the parents. They preferred to put you to work on a farm or at the mills so as to have a little more money. Yeah. He comes from a poor family. Parents are not bothered therefore about education and more about earning, so that if he could earn, they would be happy. And I've been to blame also. Have I not often sent you to water my flowers? So, yeah, getting household work done instead of teaching them. Instead of learning your lessons, when I wanted to go fishing, did I not just give you a holiday? Yeah, tomorrow is a holiday. I'm going to fish. I'm going on a fishing expedition, on a fishing trip with my friends maybe. Then from one thing to another, M. Hamel went on to talk of the French language, saying it was the most beautiful language in the world. It is a fact that French language is one of the most beautiful language, but the pronunciations and the spellings, they don't tally. The spellings are something and the pronunciations are very different. If you try to pronounce looking at the spelling, then you all will be caught on the wrong foot. Like we address gentlemen, or rather the Britishers, they address gentlemen as sirs, ladies, madam. But in French, monsieur. But the pronunciation is monsieur, but the spelling is M-O-N-S-I-E-U-R. Monsieur, if you go by the spelling, it's monsieur, but no, it's monsieur. Restaurant. And then mademoiselle, that is for females, ladies. Mademoiselle, madame, not madam, madame. And then there are many more, like chauffeur. So C-H-A-U-F-F-E-U-R, chauffeur means the driver of the car, chauffeur. So normally we pronounce CH as ch, C-H-A-I-R, chair, but here it's chauffeur. So anyway, he feels it's the most beautiful language, the clearest, the most logical, that we must guard it among us and never forget it. Why? If you want the language to live, then try to cultivate yourselves with this language. Hold fast to their language. Yeah, when a people are enslaved, that means when people they are under the rule of someone else, a foreign ruler, they become slaves, like we had been since 1857, or rather 1757. After the Battle of Plassey only, India started getting under the control of the British, and in 1857 it was complete after the revolt of 1857 under the British Queen till 1947. But how did we keep our language alive? By the vernaculars. And that is why the Britishers brought up the Vernacular Press Act to gag us, but they couldn't do so. So if you hold fast to your language, it is as if you have the key to your prison. So that is how the Indians connected each other. So different states, different languages, but they connected to each other through these languages. Then he opened the grammar and read our lesson. I was amazed to see how well I understood it. Yes, when you pay attention, when you have the desire to learn, then you understand it better. And when you feel, no, I don't want to learn, then yes, it will seem difficult. And if you really want to understand, then it seems so easy. And today, since Franz is eager to understand, he feels it is my last French lesson, he devotes himself to it and he finds it so easy, it's very natural. I think too that I had never listened so carefully and he had never explained everything with so much patience. Yes, today M. Hamel gives his best, because this is the last time he is teaching French here in Alsace. And same for this fellow, Franz, he is devoting himself, he is paying the most attention. It seemed as if the poor man wanted to give us all he knew before going away and to put it into our heads at one stroke. So he was as if trying to give everything in the last class. Whatever was in his brain, he was trying to stuff us with it. After the grammar, we had a lesson in writing. That day, M. Hamel had new copies for us. Yeah, he had got new copies for each of the students, written in beautiful round hand, cursive. France, Alsace, that means Alsace will never be part of Germany, it will always be a part of France. It will always remain a part of France. They looked like little flags floating everywhere in the schoolroom, hung from the rod at the top of our desk. So France, Alsace, they look like flags. You ought to have seen how everyone set to work. So everyone, they get to their work to write Franz Alsace, Franz Alsace. And how quiet it was, no commotion, no disturbance. The only sound was the scratching of the pens over the paper, the scratching. So the sound which is made when you write with all pressure. Once some beetles flew in, but nobody paid any attention to them, not even the littlest ones who worked right on tracing their fish hooks, as if that was French too. So normally when beetles entered, there would be a commotion. Sir, the beetle has entered, and someone will try to hit it, someone will try to drive away, and a lot of commotion. But today no one bothered. Even the children, they wrote their fish hooks in the very dedicatedly, as if that was French. And what about the pigeons outside? On the roof the pigeons cooed very low, and I thought to myself, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? Yeah, pigeons. You have right over humans, you can force them. You cannot force these pigeons, because they will fly from one place to the other. Whenever I looked up from my writing, I saw M. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair, still, and gazing first at one thing, then at another, as if he wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that schoolroom, as if he was trying to make a Xerox of what is in the room and imprint it in his mind, or a photocopy of whatever was in the classroom in his mind. Fancy, for 40 years he had been there in the same place with his garden outside the window and his class in front of him, just like that. That it should take him so much time to keep everything in his mind, because he had been teaching in this school, in this classroom for 40 years. Only the desks and the benches had been worn smooth. The walnut trees in the garden were taller, and the hop vine that he had planted himself twined about the windows to the roof. So these are the changes. When he had started teaching, the desk and the benches, they shone. They were, since they were new, they looked so well varnished, and they have now become smooth and worn out. The walnut trees, they have grown taller, and the hop vine which he himself had planted, it has grown up. How it must have broken his heart to leave it all, poor man, to hear his sister moving about in the room above. So it seems he is a bachelor. He lives with his sister, and his sister is doing all the packing. Why? Because they have to leave the next day, packing their trunks, for they must leave the country next day. So what will they do here? He is a French teacher and no French here. So he has to go back to his own home from where he had come, his native place. But he had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. And after the writing, we had a lesson in history. Then the babies chanted their ba, be, bi, bo, bu. A, E, I, O, U, the vowels in English. And that is in French, ba, be, bi, bo, bu. Down there at the back of the room, old Hauser had put on his spectacles and holding his primer with both hands like this. Spell the letters with them. The children are spelling ba, be, and he is also spelling. So it must be really a funny sight that an old man like him, he is also studying like that of a small child. You could see that too. He too was crying. His voice trembled with emotion, and it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry. So, mixed reactions. Ah, how well I remember it, that last lesson. All at once the church clock struck 12. Then the Angelus. At the same moment, the trumpets of the Prussians returning home from drill. So, the Prussians, they are returning home, returning to their barracks maybe, after the drill practice, sounded under our windows. M. Hamel stood up very pale in his chair. I never look him so tall. My friends, said he. So it is the time for him to break the class, dismiss the class. But something choked him. He could not proceed. He was maybe inside he was crying. And that is why he could not carry on. He could not go on. Then he turned to the blackboard so that his tears would not be visible. And he took a piece of chalk, and what did he write? And bearing on it with all his might, with all the strength, he wrote as large as he could, Vive la France. That means long live France. Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall. And without a word, because he cannot speak. He has become too emotional. So he cannot speak, so he just makes a gesture. He made a gesture with us, with his hands. School is dismissed. School is dismissed, you may go. So what a touching story. Whenever I teach it, in the last lines of the story, I feel even just like M. Hamel. And the thought that if someone were to come and tell me, from tomorrow you are not to learn Bengali anymore. I am a Bengali. I am sure all of you must have become aware by now. So if someone tells me, no Bengali from tomorrow. So what a feeling. No, it's not that I don't know any Bengali, or it's not that I haven't learnt, or I don't know, like it. I like it very much. But still, if it's not that I always, every day I read Bengali books or something. But if someone were to tell me that from tomorrow nothing of Bengali, so how strange it would be. So M. Hamel's feeling, so nicely captured by the author, so nicely he has captured the feelings of a man who has been teaching French for 40 years, and suddenly he is told to leave. You don't have to teach anymore, you don't need to stay here, because from tomorrow German will be taught, and you go to your home, you have retired. So how he must be really feeling. So yes, that is where the story comes to an end, and post your comments on how you like it. The comments are very good, but the likes are very few. Please, a little more likes. Bye for the time being.